this comes out in 2020. It receives a ton of critical acclaim. It gets nominations for all these different awards, including the Juno Awards, gets 2 nominations. How much do those 2 nominations mean to you with them coming like 2 decades into your music career? Like it probably, I mean, just getting a Juno nomination means a lot, but I feel like the total output you've had up to that point, that it would be something special to finally get that recognition. Or maybe you don't care at all. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I cared. I mean, I had always wanted to be nominated in that because I've seen so many people that I've worked with and that are friends of mine get nominated, and I'd never had that opportunity. Um, and I'd be lying if I said I was disappointed that Tech Noir didn't get nominated. I was disappointed that Desert Star didn't. I mean, I put a lot of effort into those records. Same with Avalanche, which I think is a great sounding record. And I felt bad because I know that the guys in Stagger Crossing and I know the guys in the Julian Taylor band also really wanted those things too. And it still eludes them, I guess, you know. And they've worked hard as well. So it was a little bit like, you know, I remember Alan Reed getting on the broadcast and mentioning that, you know, that I had finally received 2 Juno nominations after 20 years of doing this. And it was really important for me and my family. My daughter got to see her dad, you know, being recognized like that, which is also really important. And for those reasons, absolutely. Really nice to be recognized by the Polaris jury as well. And it's scary too, you know, you just, once those things come to you, I'm a bit of a person who I just really love working away at what I'm working away on and hope that it is received well, because I think that I have something to say to people. And when I do hear my songs on the radio, I'm proud that I'm saying something. Some people don't. And I recognized that from the very beginning, that I always, you know, I always said that everybody's worst song seems to be the one that gets the most play. You know, it's like, I don't get it. But we have always gone into the studio, whoever I've gone in the studio to work with, to try to put forth some sort of a message. And I think that that's been the most important thing to me. So to be recognized for that is really great. I hope that people go back and recognize the rest of the catalog too, because I think it's really good.
You mentioned your daughter seeing you at the Junos. Does she think her dad's a rock star, or are you just some schmuck that pays the bills at home?
Oh, she's gotten a bit older now, and now she's more like, I'm a bit of a schmuck, but she still thinks I'm a rock star dad. Yeah,
I love it.
you
I
know,
love it.
as they get into their preteens, hanging out with us is not necessarily
It's not the priority.
Yeah, not anymore. Hey, do you want to hear Daddy's new song? Not really. Okay.
Yeah, well, you'll hear it on the radio someday. How special is it that forever, 2-time Juno nominee, that title will be attached to your name? How amazing is that?
It's great. I would love to put Grammy nominee up there as well one day. You know, try to manifest that. It would be great. But it's not the end all and be all. I think the end all and be all is to A, get the message out, and B, to be able to pay my bills.
So normally at the end of the interview, I ask, are there any dreams you still have in your heart that haven't been fulfilled? I'll ask that now. You just mentioned being nominated for a Grammy would be a big one. Is there anything else that's kind of on your bucket list that you're working towards?
Yeah, I personally, I would really like to just be able to tour all over the world and have, you know, even if it was like a few hundred people came to my shows, that would be great. I mean, a few thousand would be even better. But at the same time, I don't really need that. I don't crave a huge audience, but 300 people at a show, and you know, I would really like to play more theaters and not have to be stuck in clubs until 2 in the morning. maybe that's aging me, but at the same time, I do that. I have a daughter and I have a life and I want to live it. And I've done that part already. I'd like to see personally for it to become a little easier for me to make any sort of headway and traction, because it hasn't been easy. It's always an uphill battle, and I guess the Ridge would be the first that I've seen it not be as much of an uphill battle, but I'm still behind the scenes doing all the label work and doing all that stuff and managing the team and stuff like that. So it is a lot of work, but it always feels like an uphill battle. And I'd like to see that, go away a little bit more. But maybe it doesn't ever go away for anybody. I don't know.
Yeah, well, you recently got a new booking agent in the US, so maybe that helps to make that vision of being able to tour all around the world. Maybe that's a good step in the right direction.
I'm hoping, yeah, for sure, because I do love playing, and Canada's lovely, but it's hard to play Canada. Not a lot of groups can command a coast-to-coast tour. Obviously, the Arkells can, Blue Rodeo can. The Hippie were able to do that before. I'm not sure if there's any others that really, Alan Doyle, but it's hard.
There's a big distance between some of the cities, right? There's 8 hours between some cities, where in the US, it's like every 30 minutes you have like another major city. So it's a tough drive, and especially in the winter, right? The treacherous roads.
Yeah, Canada's not easy. I mean, I don't foresee it being easy anywhere, but I think I'm going to be heading out on my first UK and European tour in the new year, and really looking forward to that and seeing what that's like. I mean, I'm starting from scratch again. I feel like I'm still starting from scratch in Canada. I mean, I'm just releasing a new record is starting from scratch. Just because the Ridge had the success that it did doesn't mean anything. It means that it made a lot of people happy, which means everything to me. But the success part and all that really doesn't mean anything, because it's every time you put out a new record, you're starting from scratch.
Yeah, it definitely feels like the Ridge was a turning point. Like it feels like that's the start of whatever this next chapter is. And that's what it feels like from the outside. I don't know if it feels like that from the inside.
Yeah, no, not really. It's a bit daunting to me to have a record that's successful 20 years later, and also have 10 before it, and now keep on moving forward with the next one. I hope people like the next record. I hope that it resonates with them, and that you always wanted to surpass the thing you did before, but that's unforeseeable. It's basically we have our effort, and that's all we can do. The rest of it's in the universe's hands, and that's daunting. It's scary.
Yeah, I hear you. You got to put yourself out there every time, and it's your lyrics and your voice, and you have to be vulnerable, right, as a musician. And it's you can take it personal if an album doesn't do as well commercially as you want, or maybe the critical acclaim isn't there on an album, and it can be super personal, even though the people don't know you personally.
So yeah, we'll see what happens, but all of my stuff's very personal. It always has been.
Well, that's what the fans like about you, right? That's something that stands out, is you get kind of it's like reading someone's journal, where there's that authenticity and there's that transparency in the writing.
Right. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome. So the Ridge, recorded in Toronto at the Woodshed. Can you give our listeners a little bit of insight into the recording of that album? Any stories or any talk of the musicians, or anything that stands out to you that's worth sharing?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first time that I'd actually recorded anything with my cousins Gene and Barry, and that was beautiful because we have such a great vibe. They're an amazing rhythm section, and I think we pulled together a really earthy sounding sort of recording, which is great. It was also the first time that I'd worked with Derek Downham, and Derek and I went all the way back to his 1610 days. We've known each other forever, and that was the first time we got to work together, and that was lovely. I love recording at the Woodshed because it's not really fancy. It's you get what you get, and most people have to play in a room together because it's just one room. I also really enjoy singing the vocals while I got the acoustic guitar in my hand. So it's really hard. The last couple of records, it's really hard to get any instrumental versions of these records because there's so much bleed. My voice, my guitar, some other instruments will bleed in there, but definitely it's the voice that, you know, if it was just the instruments bleeding, you would have your instrumental, is what I'm saying.